one. How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. And this is a show about pro wrestling. And this week, we're going to be bringing back a segment that we haven't done in a long time, which is our Spotlight series, where we usually take a wrestler, a very random one, or one that we think has flown under the radar for one reason or the other, or one that's just bizarre, like Yukon Moose Chulak.
Yes, which
And
I
we
believe was the last one we did, and that was my pick.
Right, that's true. And we'll cover as much as we can find out about them and watch some of their matches. And so this week we are going to be covering Joe Doering. And the reason that we're going to be covering him is because he kind of came across one of my Facebook groups that I'm in, or at least a wrestling group at random, due to some recent health issues that he's having. We'll get to those towards the end. But I decided, you know what? Let's cover him because I didn't know much about him. And so, real quick, Leonard, before I suggested this, did you know who this was?
No, and what this reminded me of, and I said this to my wife tonight, we'll be watching like something on a streaming service and like a commercial will pop up. And it's like after 10 great years, this series is going off the air with these characters that you have known and loved, and this landmark milestone television series is bidding goodbye. And we're like, I've never heard of that show.
Right.
And back like when we were kids, even if a show was on for half a season, you heard of it
Right. Yeah.
because there was just more limited amount
Right.
of outlets. And today there's just so much. And I feel this is like the same way here because as we'll find out, Joe Doering has had a very successful wrestling career, but neither one of us had heard of him. Because even if you go back and look at the territory days and the indie days of the 80s and 90s, there still felt like there's a finite amount of guys.
Right. Yeah.
And now today, there just feels like there's a million guys all over the place. And as we talked about, we don't follow the current product as much as we used to. But even with that, I'm still familiar with who most of the main guys in AEW and WWE and TNA are, more or less. And this was a guy who I had not heard about. If I did, I saw his maybe name on a result sheet and didn't even think about it.
Right.
But I certainly didn't know who he was.
Right. Well, let's get started on the bio here. So he has gone by several different names. He has gone by, of course, Joe Doering, Drake Brewer, Hans Von Doering, Joseph Doering, Von Doering, and VON Doering. So it's VAUGHN Doering and VON Doering. I guess to kind of shorten the spelling there. So his bio, Leonard, at least some of the main points to me were a little confusing, and I'll tell you why. So he was born April 16th, 1982. I saw that he could have been born in either Chicago, Illinois, or Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I tried to watch an interview with this gentleman to see if maybe they would have touched on it. They really didn't. So I don't know for sure where he was born, either in Chicago or Windsor, Ontario.
Those are two different places. Is Windsor right across the lake, though?
I mean, they're not super far away. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in any event, he was trained by Scott D'Amore, Kaz Hayashi, Jerry Lynn, among others. Another part of his bio that kind of varied depending on what source you looked at was his height and weight. So I saw that he was anywhere from 6'5" to 6'8", and weighing anywhere from 276 to 297. I'd certainly put his weight more towards the latter part of that range. But
He's a big dude. That sounds like NFL scales right there,
yeah,
when they bring a guy in for the combine and they say it's a 6 foot quarterback, 6'2",
yeah.
you know.
His finishing maneuvers were the Revolution Bomb, which is a very variation of Power Bomb, and a move called, which is a great name, the Chain of Sorrow, which is a fireman's carry into a lariat. So he was trained 2000 and 2004 at the Can-Am Wrestling TNA Wrestling School. His first match was December 19th, 2004. He started in the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico in 2006 And then from there went to All Japan Pro Wrestling for one of many stints from 2007 to 2010. While in All Japan, he had a feud with Suwama, and he teamed with the gentleman Kaiji Muto, excuse me. They would win.
That's the great Muda, Kaiji Muto.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
the great Muda.
that's true. Yes. They would win the World Tag Team Championships against Satoshi Kojima and Taru. He also joined a faction called the Voodoo Murders and had a rivalry with Zodiac while there. And yes, this guy did have a little brief stint with WWE in 2010. He signed a WWE development deal. He debuted in FCW, which is Florida Championship Wrestling, on February 25th, 2010, under his real name initially, and then it became Drake Brewer because it's WWE. Drake Brewer sounds like a name that they would use today of somebody that you forgot 2 seconds after you saw him, Leonard.
Yes. Drake Brewer. I don't know. Kind of sounds like almost like a bro dude in the micro beer. Like he runs a micro. He's a hipster that runs a microbrewery.
They renamed himself Drake Brewer.
Drake Brewer, right?
So he was released from this developmental contract in September of that same year, 2010. He returned to All Japan November 5th, 2010, and rejoined the Voodoo Murders, regained the tag team titles, resumed his feud with Zodiac. He had a tag team.
Is that Bruce Beefcake?
No, unfortunately not. Although that, actually, yeah, that would not have been a good tag team.
Man, if you told me Beefcake went to Japan, became the Zodiac again, I'd buy that.
You know what, though? We'd have to do a whole show on that. They would win. I'm sorry. He had a tag team with Suwama called Evolution. They would win a tournament there called the World's Strongest Determination League.
Yeah, I love that name.
You saw that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Is all these weird Japanese names just because of the translation?
Yeah. He would defeat Suwama on July 27th, 2013 to win the Triple Crown heavyweight title and was the 6th non-Japanese holder of that title.
Right. See, that is such an awesome. That's what I was saying. Like, this is a landmark TV show. I've never heard of it. And this guy is the 6th Gaijin to win the Triple Crown. And then he won it again, which you're going to get to. So he's a 2-time Triple Crown holder. And not that I'm the biggest watcher of Japanese wrestling, but still, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. His health issues would start in 2016. He was first diagnosed with his first brain tumor in 2016, returned to the ring in January of 2017. He would win the Triple Crown heavyweight title for a second time against Suwama October 21st, 2017. And then, of course, he did have stints with TNA from 2005 to 2006. And then in 2018, he returned to Impact Wrestling in 2020 to join Eric Young and Cody Deaner in a group called Violent by Design. Which, this all goes along to what you're talking about, Leonard, with stuff that happened that you just didn't realize.
The Cody Deaner, I know the name. Yeah. I know he exists.
During whatever.
There was another Deaner. Weren't they brothers?
You could be right. Okay. I watched almost no TNA in this era.
Yeah.
Or I should say in the 2020 era. He would have his first Impact World Championship match against Josh Alexander against all odds. We'll talk about that in a sec. At this point, he did have an undefeated streak. He also had appearances in Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Dubai Wrestling, Border City Wrestling, and the European Wrestling Association. We'll get to his current health issues here after and in our summary. I think.
Okay.
Appropriate. But yeah, so some of his accomplishments, I already went through some of them. Triple Crown heavyweight title holder 2 times, World Tag Team Championship 4 times, World's Strongest Determination League with Keiji Moto, with Suwama, with Dylan James, and he did have the Impact World Tag Team Championship twice. And he was ranked number 64 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2014 and 2018.
See, I mean, you're in the top, third top 75 of the PWI. It's not what it used to be, but that's good. I mean, that's
what you just said. You just hit on it there. I was going to say stuff is not like it used to be, because now when anybody posts the results of anything, because now you get results from the PWI, you get results from, of course, the Wrestling Observer,
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and people post that online and then they just laugh it off like, who cares? We're not going to take it seriously. But at this point, I feel like it did make a difference. And so let's get into his matches and his overall style. Um, one match that he had that is apparently really good, and I wanted to watch it, but I couldn't justify getting a subscription to TNA just to watch this one random Impact match. It was against Doc Gallows, August 19th, 2021. It was just an Impact Wrestling match, but it was apparently a hell of a hoss fight.
I
And
can see that.
I am curious to watch it, but it's one of the like so to TNA Impact's credit, they do offer matches for free on YouTube. This unfortunately was not one of them. But one match that was offered for free was the aforementioned match against Josh Alexander for the TNA Impact World Heavyweight title and Against All Odds, July 1st, 2022. That was a match that I gave you, Leonard.
Yes.
So what do you think of it?
So, first of all, that whole video is 1821. That includes entrances. And I know we watched a Josh Alexander match before, and I can't remember.
Two of his matches with Will Ospreay, yes.
Yes, okay, correct. And I liked him, and I do, because he's a throwback amateur grappler, kind of like a Kurt Angle, kind of like a Chad Gable. And I get Doring's character of being like a tough cowboy dude, like Stan Hansen plus kind of.
Yeah, I feel like you would like a guy like this guy.
Yes, I do. You know, and we'll talk about that. You know, in closing, kind of what my thoughts are on him. And well, you know, you had me watch another match we're going to talk about, which is before this in 2015. And one thing I noticed is that Doring's hairline really changed between these matches.
I'm assuming that has to do with his brain tumor.
It could be. There's surgery in that area, which I didn't think about the time until you just said it. So there you go. And again, I watched the other match first because it came first.
Right.
But I like this better than the Go Shizaki match we're going to talk about, because this is more American style. The pace was faster. I thought the moves felt more meaningful. It was just, it wasn't just doing, you know, a move or doing a move. There was a flow here. There was a chemistry that was better between these two guys. A lot of good back and forth as changes. I think what really helped me here is that Alexander, in my opinion, is a better wrestler than Shiozaki. Again, we'll get to that match. I kind of wrote them in order, my thoughts here. I think he sold better. His strikes were stiffer. And so Doring sold the chops more. I think it meant more in this match, everything that they were doing. I like the off-the-rope elbow that Doring does. He does a knee drop off the top turnbuckle to the back of the neck, which I really liked. I really like how Doring countered something. So Alexander tried something else. And like he couldn't get him over for a German suplex, so he shot him into the ropes and then used that momentum to get him over. You know, he couldn't get the German suplex again, so he twisted that into a Northern Lights. You know, great counter stuff like that. The Cody Deaner interference, I think, was used sparingly and appropriately. Like after the suplex set up for Alexander's finisher, Deaner got on the apron to break up the momentum, because I was already thinking that I would have to complain how he was going to hit that move and that move wasn't the finish because it was his finisher. But he didn't get to hit it because of Deaner.
Right.
Perfectly logical booking here. So good closing sequence with Alexander fighting out of the powerbomb attempt and then going after the ankle. I love the ankle lock with the grapevine spot. You know, that's very Kurt Angle. It really looked like it hurt. I think Doring sold that well. But then he just powers out by standing up out of it, which I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that to like Angle. So if they did, but that's a great. And I didn't like how the C4 spike was the finish and not something else with the ankle. Something ankle related is what I should have been. I mean, this lacked a certain spark for me, but I would call it an excellent television main event. Maybe not for, you know, a major pay-per-view like it was for their signature pay-per-view. So it was a bit lacking to me. Part of me wants to go 4 stars, but I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah, I would go 3.5, 3 3/4 with you on this. I like this match a lot. I think that he and Josh Alexander's styles complemented each other, and I think it would have benefited Doering to have more matches with guys whose styles didn't necessarily match his, but complemented his.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, because obviously, you know, the stints in Japan. We'll get to that, but I liked this. I thought it was good, and I think that the commentators and you know Alexander himself really sold during size. This would break his undefeated streak. Uh,
Yes, they mentioned that. Mhm.
um, so um, we'll get to your second match here, Leonard, in a
Sure.
second. Not that we're going in any particular order, but one of the matches that I watched was a tag match. It was Joe Doering with Sawama against Yun Akiyama and Go Shiozaki. June 2nd, 2013, All Japan Wrestling. Yun Akiyama is a Japanese legend.
I know the name.
Yeah, the other two, I think, were more known in All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Mhm.
But you know, his During's Japanese matches obviously, you know, coincided with the Japanese style. You know the no I mentioned it. You know,
Yeah, as I mentioned, I like the TNA match better because I think it's an American style I was more familiar with.
right. You know, more of the no selling, and the matches went on longer. And but what I liked about like this tag match was very good. This was you know like During was much younger here, but I thought that this really worked well in the Japanese style. But I thought that you know these matches go you know with entrances and stuff they're like anywhere from like 20 to 25 minutes
Mhm.
some of these Japanese matches and it was cool to see During go this long. He is more of that kind of big guy hoss as I mentioned style of a fight, you know, where you would see an AEW, they'd yell meat in the ring. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, I think that in like the 90s and maybe even the 80s, like when you saw two big guys, sometimes the matches were just awful.
yeah,
I think
and
now,
they were short, and they were
yes,
even if it was two name guys, it would be 5 to 7 minutes because those guys couldn't do more than that, especially with the style that they work.
right. And now I feel like the training is more multifaceted to the point where these guys, when they get in the ring, they can do some different things and they can go for longer. They have more endurance. And I think that it shows with During in this match. And yeah, I liked the tag match a lot. Leonard, why don't you talk about the Go Shiozaki match you watched?
Sure. So this is from January 3rd, 2015. And this match was a bit plotting and too long for me for what it was. There seemed to be a lot of dead space in between the moves. The whole video is about 40 minutes. The first 7 minutes is a hype package, and there's 10 minutes of stuff at the end. There is really, for me, no way that a match that has this much striking should go that long, you know, because of the nature of that. And but again, as you said, that's for the Japanese style. And you're gonna love this. See, I initially thought that the story of the match was that Doring was coming off as like this tough American badass, and Shiozaki thinks he's a badass, but he's really a wimp.
Mm,
And the best example of this was like the chop exchanges towards the start, because you can tell when Shiozaki is fighting hard, not to show the pain, and then Doring just stands there and takes it.
right,
And then when the chops come, Doring's chop is like 3 times as loud as Shiozaki's chop.
right.
Like this, like the strikes are way weaker. So I was thinking, oh well, that's the story of the match. And as it went on, I was like, no, I think this guy is just a wimp. Like, but do you know, is that his character? Is that he's just like this underdog weak dude?
I think that I mean in the Sawama match that I was going to talk about, you know, I think that they were portraying During as the big American like
Okay, so just
badass guy.
leaning into that.
I
Okay.
think that they wanted to like have the Japanese talents be the not necessarily black and white the hero versus villain type situation,
Mhm.
but definitely like the kind of the hero versus like kind of the monster type of
Yeah,
situation.
it's a David and Goliath type of situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a little more sense to me. And there was a sequence I wanted to mention where Shiozaki hits like 3 kind of crappy looking DDTs in a row, and then Dorian just pops up with these big eyes, and Shiozaki has this look on his face. Is oh, okay, well, whatever then. And then right after that, he reverses a whip into a short clothesline, and then Dorian sells that like death, but not 3 DDTs in a row.
Yeah.
And then later on, he no sells another DDT. And then I had this thought: what if you had a dude that just picked a move and he would just no sell that move?
Well,
Like he's not like it's like how you can't power bomb Kidman, you can't DDT Joe Doering,
right.
you can't like headbutt a Samoan because they're not going to feel it.
I like that in a sense. It reminds me what you're talking about. Reminds me of a recent episode of AEW actually, where oh God, was it? I forget who it was now, but the person who took the pile driver was El Clone, which is a luchador character,
Mm-hmm.
and they did the pile driver and right on top of his head, and he popped up almost in like a backflip. Like the pile driver went down, he popped up, did like a backflip, and stood right up and did one of these, and like completely. Now this gained a little bit of like divisiveness online because he completely no sold it. But it looked super cool, at least in my opinion.
See, if that's his gimmick. His gimmick is that you can't pile drive him.
If
He'll
you
sell an arm bar.
if he
He'll
did
sell a
that more
clothesline.
often, that would be great. But
He'll sell a suplex. But you can't pile drive him. You can't DDT Joe Doring. You can't headbutt a Samoan. That's what I'm saying.
that I think that could like I think that somebody should run with that.
Pick a move that just it doesn't phase you for whatever reason, and like the guy forgets and he tries it and he's like, ah, crap, I forget, I can't DDT.
I'm trying to think of some of the like they always did that with some of the champions in WWE. Like, well, I mean, for goodness sakes, Hogan had that whole point in every one of his matches.
Yeah, it wasn't always the same move though. He would just get to the point where he would Hulk up and Warrior would Warrior up and those different things, but it wasn't the same move that would like wake him up.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually it was just people trying to punch Hogan. I mean,
yeah,
maybe a few people tried to kick him, but anyway.
But he would sell punches earlier. It was just
yes, absolutely.
It got to the point where it was like, all right, time for me to
It'd be
come
great
back.
if Hogan did a match where he just didn't sell any punch at all.
Yeah, he just didn't tell anything. He might against Billy Kidman. I don't know. Anyway, get back to this match. I did like the spot where Shiozaki clotheslines Doring to the floor because that was done with some authority, I thought.
Right.
However, the dive after that was super telegraphed with Doring catching him and falling back with him and sort of gently putting him down like a baby in the crib. So there was some stuff there I didn't like. The Super Frankenstein right after that at the 20-minute mark, that was the finish. For me, that would have been the finish. I would have went home on that. Doring did hit a few moves I liked and looked good. Like his spine buster looked good. He did a flying crossbody off the ropes. It looked good. I also like how the crowd built. I'm sorry. After the Super Frankensteiner didn't end it, they were hanging on like every big movement, every near fall that happened. And that helped to build my interest too. You know, I think if this match had been maybe 15 minutes, I would rate it higher. I went about 2.5 stars.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch this one, but I did watch his.
Now, a lot of that could be my Japanese bias because I just don't get that.
Right. The match I watched was against Suwama, October 21st, 2017. This was the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown title. And, I thought that this match was good. It was probably similar to what you're describing. Suwama's a little bit bigger, I think, than Shiozaki. So it was more of that, kind of Haas style of a match, but it was also a Japanese style. I've just kind of come to expect that Japanese matches, a lot of them are going to go a certain amount of time, especially when it's for your main title. I think that they have it built in that, like, we can't go too short for some of these big title matches, for better or worse. But his match against Suwama was very good. I enjoyed it. It was much like Leonard was describing, but I think that Doering was kind of still portraying like the bigger guy that Suwama had to kind of overcome. And, in this case, it was Doering winning. But in any case, overall, I enjoyed all the matches that I watched of this guy. Were they like perfect? Maybe not. But I thought for a bigger guy, I thought that he could really put on an entertaining show in the ring, regardless of who he was working with.
Yeah, kind of referring to what I said earlier. I could see him, you drop him into world class, Mid South, Georgia, 1983. He's a top heel.
Yeah.
He's a naturally big dude. Like he's not cut, but he's a naturally big dude. He, looks like a beer drinking, Merle Haggard listening, good old boy shit
Him in a
kicker.
tag team with Stan Hansen.
Yes. He occasionally would probably tag with Hansen or even Ron Bass. If he was in WWF, they would probably put him with Ron Bass. And he can brawl, but he does have like a few moves that he does.
Right.
And some things for a guy his size, the way he hits a crossbody, the way he hits a diving elbow coming off the ropes,
Yeah.
those types of things are done with a certain rhythm to him and a certain smoothness to him. That he's definitely good. Like he's definitely good for his size. And I know that you hate me to say this, but I would be curious what WWE would do with him, say if Triple H was behind him. Like this is my dude, like a Gunther type of guy. I think he could work in a similar type of fashion. Again, Gunther is a different type of wrestler, but I'm talking sort of that size idea, the throwback idea, that I just kick ass and take names type of idea. I think that would be it. And for AEW, again, I don't know that to say as well what they would or would not do with him. And of course, he was TNA Impact champion, as you mentioned a few times. So, but definitely he does feel like a throwback guy. So you were right on that. I liked him for those types of elements to his character. And of the two matches I watched, which is a small sample size, I did get a sense for him being a good hand in the ring who could do what he could do very well and who could also work with some different guys. Again, Alexander and Shiozaki are different in their styles, one being American, one being Japanese, but also there's some size differences. And I know you watched some stuff where there were some size differences. So definitely I was impressed with what I saw. And I would certainly probably watch more American stuff, more TNA era with him. Did you ever say he was in Ring of Honor? Did he ever do Ring of Honor? I don't think you said he did.
I did. Yeah, that wasn't listed.
I think he would have did because I watched Ring of Honor for a while at one point, and they had dudes like Silas Young and some guys that I think he maybe would have matched up well with. But I liked what I saw.
I think that as far as WWE goes, you mentioned Gunther. I think Gunther is definitely the exception to the rule as far as what WWE does with people.
Right, and that's why Gunther stands out, and that's why if you would get another guy,
Gunther had kind of established himself well before he got to WWE.
Right,
he came into NXT immediately on top when he came into NXT.
Yeah. Well, he had worked it for NXT Europe, correct, or whatever they called that.
Well, that's what I meant to say. Thank you. He came into NXT UK.
Oh, UK, yes.
Immediately on top, like in that, and like I mean, he came out. People there knew who he was
because he had that match with was it Dragunov?
Yeah, that was later down the line, but
okay, but that was still UK, right?
Yeah. And but I feel like I don't know if the current state of WWE. I feel like during Style, if they let him go a little bit longer than normal, then I think that he can show just how good he is in the ring. If they were trying to like handicap him to like 4 or 5 minutes, I don't know that he'd be able to stand out as well as he could.
Another guy he reminded me of was Young Bradshaw.
Yes, very much.
A little more polished than say, Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
Yeah.
But that kind of look and style, and again, just a naturally kind of big country boy.
That would be a good match to see.
Yeah, kind of a maybe before he JBL'd up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As far as AEW, who knows? Like AEW still has some big guys, not as many as they once did.
No. Also, I think AEW's crowded. I think it's hard to, from what I've seen, it's kind of hard to stand out sometimes there. But in any company with a lot of guys. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue both companies have that problem right now.
Yes, I believe you're right. Yeah, I'll give you
that. But let's get to his conclusion here, which is he had some brain tumor issues, returned in 2022 and had to undergo surgery at that time. And as of December 2025, those problems returned for a third time, which is what I saw online. And his surgeries have obviously resulted in high bills, which for independent contractors like wrestlers is not an easy thing to overcome.
Right, and he can't wrestle at
Right.
this time. So he does have income. He does not have income coming in unless he's got any sort of maybe merch deal with some sort of independent company like one of the T-shirt companies or something like that.
There is a GoFundMe up, which is assuming it's still up. I will put it in the description of this episode so that
Huh?
you can go to it. But yeah, I you know I saw this, and once I saw AJPW Triple Crown winner, I was like, I've never heard of this person.
Right. Sure. No, I've heard of this person. I was the same way.
So yeah, I'm glad that we were able to cover him. We've been working on this one for a while, but I'm glad that we're able to watch some of these matches. And one of these days, I'll watch that Doc Gallows match and let you know how it is, Leonard.
Yeah, maybe if you can somehow slip it to me, we'll do that as a
Absolutely,
match review.
got to
But
mooch off people these
all
days.
the best to Joe Doering and his family, and just hope he comes through this latest bout and we see him in the ring again.
Absolutely, I agree. Check out our other videos as well, our rebooks, our unstable stables, stupid questions. And we're available wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit the like button, subscribe to our content, comment however you wish, your thoughts on Joe Doering. And for Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.